90% of the AI audio agents in the world are powered by voice of ElevenLabs.
You've been a founder twice and now you're leading go-to-market. What did building your own startups teach you that pure operators usually miss?
Not execute playbook, but to build playbook. Also, you have to be extremely agile. Imagine ElevenLabs, let's say 18 months ago, it was well known for text-to-speech. Today, it's probably the best solution when you want to build a voice agent. Careless, who would be in a normal company like probably a VP or CRO. Also prospect all the time. Even our CEO, Matty, prospects. You would be surprised to see his name on the Salesforce report.
If you had to build and put your founder hat on again and build a SaaS from scratch again, what would you optimize for first? Brand, product, distribution?
Distribution is definitely the most important because you can have the best product in the world. If you don't have the distribution, it doesn't work. In the future, the reps who are going to be really successful would be the one with a deep product knowledge, relationship builder, which, as I said, it's a bit weird with this AI world, but meeting people in real life, it's so important in 2026.
Hey everyone, this is Said with Messy Growth. Super excited for this one today. We got a guest today, Jonathan Chemouny. He's currently leading go-to-market for Europe at ElevenLabs, one of the fastest growing AI companies in the world. I'm pretty sure you've heard their name. They're all over the news everywhere. So Jonathan has spent nearly 2 decades building and scaling high-performing sales organizations across Europe and beyond. Before ElevenLabs, he was the head of sales for EMEA and APAC at Lattice, where he led teams across SMB, mid-market, and enterprise segments. Prior to that, though, he spent over 5 years at Intercom, a company that I dearly enjoy and love and use it to this day, holding multiple different leadership positions and roles across sales development and enterprise relationships. Here's the fun part, though, and a kicker. Jonathan is also a 2-time founder, having co-founded BotNation AI, a SaaS chatbot platform used by hundreds of companies, including major brands like Arsenal Football Club and our earlier Upmarket, a startup recognized as one of the fastest Europe's growing tech companies. So from early startup building to scaling global revenue teams, Jonathan brings a unique perspective, to go-to-market strategies, building high-performing sales teams, and navigating the rapid growth of AI companies. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sayed. Great introduction. And yeah, thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. No, thank you for being here. Like I said, I know ElevenLabs is in the news, but your resume is phenomenal. You work with some of the very top companies that are out there, Intercom, Lattice, that I just said. So your experience and the breadth of it is pretty massive. So I'm really excited to have this chat with you. And I will try to squeeze as much as I can in the next hour or from you. So I think this is really careful, but thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I'll dig right into it. You've been a founder twice and now you're leading go-to-market at Rocketship. Is that a right way to put it? ElevenLabs, what I would call it. What did building your own startups teach you that pure operators usually miss?
Yeah, so I think it's a good question, and it's not only me. It's something that you can find with all the people working at ElevenLabs in the DNA. Many of them, they're coming from entrepreneurship. They had their own startups, or they work for very early stage companies. And I think what it brings to you is being super comfortable in the chaos, because sometimes it can be very very complicated. You have to not execute playbook, but to build playbook, I would say. Also, at the beginning, you don't have any brand. When I worked for BotNation, there was no brand. We had to build everything from ground. No inbound also. So that's why inbound for me, it's always something a bit mystery, because I never, experienced inbound in the past. So this is the first thing. Also, you have to be extremely agile. Imagine ElevenLabs. Let's say 18 months ago, it was well known for text-to-speech. Today, it's probably the best solution when you want to build an agent, a voice agent. ElevenLabs is the best solution. Just to give you an idea, 90% of the AI audio agents in the world are powered by voice of ElevenLabs. So you have to totally change, your ICP. You have to be super agile. Also, the way you sell, you have to being agile. With all the shift. And also something, and I'm sure you know that, Sayed, is the ownership and the accountability that you have. There is no one that you can say, okay, I can blame this person. Just impossible. There is no safety net. It's all on you. So you must have this builder mentality. I think it's super important. And also, just to give you some ideas about what we do at ElevenLabs, we experiment a lot. So we try new things all the time. Sometimes it works well. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. But I think having this low ego attachment with ideas is something super important. And yeah, I think this is what I learned being a founder. And
Yeah.
this is what I apply today at ElevenLabs.
Yeah. It's interesting you say about low ego environment and constantly experimenting. I mean, I guess that's how you build a company as big and large as ElevenLabs. Because I was watching Jeff Bezos talk about Amazon, and he says that 40 to 50% of the products that they launch, they never work out. They're just garbage. They have to just push them out. Literally, they're failed. But he says that's progress, because for every 50%, there's 50% that actually end up working and scaling, and they will cover the losses for the rest of the 200% that you were going to go ahead and create for the most part. But he says that the critical component is to never stop experimenting, never stop trying, and always have something that you're innovating, right? Which is why I guess ElevenLabs is dominating 90% of the market out there, because there is that aspect of innovation in there. Is that company wide? Does it come from top down? Is it more about the right hires in the right places? Which, as you said, these are a lot of folks are entrepreneurial. They've been through that journey. They understand that. Or you just kind of feel like that it's just the right mix of right people at the right place at the right time with the right product.
Yeah, I think it's quite unique at ElevenLabs, and that's why we really all enjoy working there. It's the right mix. It's incredible because you bring a lot of talents with the right company at the right time, and you can do something amazing. You mentioned at the beginning about the growth, and it could be super easy just to say, okay, company is growing super fast, everything is good. The thing is, when we announced for Series D, 500 million, 11 billion valuation, you can say, okay, we're at the top. Honestly, we celebrate for one day, and then it was go back to work and continue just to innovate all the time. When we have good ideas, and you know that it lasts 2-3 months. For example, I lead the sales development team, so everything related to pipeline. And when we have something working well, after 3 months, we have to find another idea. So there is no time just to stop and say, okay, we have to continue all the time, which makes the job so interesting, actually.
Yeah, 100%. You lead sales development. It's a unique department, because I saw your post on LinkedIn, your comment on a post on LinkedIn, somebody at Growth at ElevenLabs, and they said that sales development is just a brutal role. It's not a step ladder, so to speak, that you can step on. It's just a very hard way to go about in sales. How do you motivate these people? How do you keep them focused on a goal, considering that they're literally at the front lines having to sing for their supper every single day?
Yeah, so I have a very strong opinion on this. For many companies, sales development, it's an entry-level job. It's so boring that usually they just want to get an A role. And I can understand them, because the job is just spray and pray, sending, this type of annoying emails that you don't like, or terrible cold calling. And the thing is, to make them super motivated, the first thing is to make that job interesting. Making that job interesting, what does it mean? Is not just sending emails, but understanding why we're doing that, why we want to discuss with our prospect. For example, me, I was one of the first one to send all the SDR traveling all the time, meeting the prospect where they are, attending to conference, organizing workshop. And sometimes, people are telling me, what? USDRs, they are traveling, they meet the prospect, but do they go with an NA? I said, no, why? Why should they? Because the thing is, when they're super passionate about what they do, then they do an incredible job, and they stay motivated, and they understand, just because they speak with companies, they understand what is the problem that we're solving. And that's great, because also you make them future amazing account executive. You increase the readiness when you do that.
Yeah, I think it's also about keeping that faith in people, right? Like, you would imagine, if you would think of an SDR, that's like bottom of literally at the starting point of sales, right? And I kind of feel like that a lot of the companies, they treat them as spray and pray machines, like you would say it. But the fact that you're giving them that kind of power, that they can go ahead, be the representative and ambassadors, if I would say, of ElevenLabs, excuse me, it just makes them better AEs over time, because of that. You speak with a different level of comfort, different level of passion, you exert a different level of energy when you have this faith kind of like placed on you. Like, dude, we trust you. I've trained you.
Totally.
Go ahead and do it. Like, why wouldn't you be able to do it is the question that you should be asking at the end of the day. And I had this rule when I was managing teams, which is like, if an SDR cannot go ahead and do a demo, like, that person is not going to be an SDR. Like, you should be able to do the whole sales cycle. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, there's not an esoteric skill that AEs have that you don't have. So I really like the culture that you've built out. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about go-to-market. Go-to-market is evolving extremely fast in 2025, tail end of 2025 and 2026 specifically. Is there a strategy that works right now that people are underestimating, undervaluing quite a lot from your lens?
Multiple things. As I said, and it's very related to what I do with the SDR. Meeting new prospect where they are and going on site is something that is, I mean, for us, it's our competitive advantage. Right after COVID, it was very difficult to bring back the sales, not only not only SDR, of course, but AEs, just to meet their prospects on site. And some companies are still a bit slow with that. So I think this is the first thing, meeting the people. And it sounds a bit weird because ElevenLabs, we are leader in AI audio, and you could think that AI, everything can be automated, blah, blah, blah. But just because we also have to educate our prospect about what we do, about what they can do. And also with AI, there is many questions about regulation, safety, and so on. It's so important to meet them, to build the trust with them. So the first thing. The second thing is, for example, me in the past, when I was at Intercom, my job with my team was to capture all the revenue immediately. Now, at ElevenLabs, we are more on the land and expand motion. What we know is if we can build the trust with them, they can maybe start working with us with maybe a small part of the revenue. But just because we are doing a fantastic job and all the credits to the CSM also working at ElevenLabs, we can have great expansion with that. And this is what we see with our customers. So the land and expand motion is something that worked really well at ElevenLabs. Also, in terms of GTM strategy, I mean, not really a strategy, but something that I see is a new way to communicate with our prospects. For example, WhatsApp in Europe, very surprising, but it works really well. If you do that correctly, of course, if you outbound on WhatsApp, you will have some trouble. But if you build a relationship and you switch to WhatsApp, it works so well. And me, WhatsApp is my new inbox. It works well, as I said. Also exploring other things with Teams and Google Chat. So we are exploring how to engage with them. And I will say, and you see that everywhere at the moment, but everything related to signals based is something super important. Why, for example, prospection didn't work in the past? It was someone was contacting you from nowhere, trying to sell you something that you are not interested in. And even if you're interested in, it's not the right moment. So now when you contact the right person at the right moment with the right message, it works. At ElevenLabs, we have a lot of tools helping us with that, just to engage when someone is going to comment one of our LinkedIn message, for example. We'll be able to detect all the signals and engage with them. What is very important is the context. It's all about the context. If you contact someone and you have a reason to contact this person, totally makes sense. The same me, I have one of my very basic sequence that I have is I engage with all the relevant prospects following ElevenLabs on LinkedIn. Seems to be, very basic. I have so much pipeline thanks to this sequence, just because I have the right to contact them since they're following our company. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this kind of small strategy, I mean, it's more tactic. It works really well.
Yeah. There's something you said in our pre-interview when we were talking. It stuck with me. I was speaking and discussing this with my wife. I told her about ElevenLabs. She has no knowledge of the SaaS world, not her expertise, not an area in which she operates. And I said, well, ElevenLabs is massive. It's one of the unicorns right here, a company that it's only going to continue to grow. And I was speaking to somebody from there, and they mentioned that even the leaders, you mentioned Carl's, they're doing outbound themselves. They're doing outreach. They're reaching out on LinkedIn, so on and so forth. And this is something on a traditional SaaS I've never seen yet. Usually you punt that responsibility job over to SDRs, AEs, account managers, so on and so forth. And the manager just manages. And when you start to decipher layer by layer what makes companies great and what makes them tick and why is it that they're growing at that pace, I guess it's these different plays that are at play for the most part, which is managers are also are in the trenches with the people and are going to conferences and talking to people, talking to prospect, talking to customer. There's nothing that is below or beneath them, so to speak, when it comes to the job. Is that something that is unique to how you've built the environment at ElevenLabs, or is it something you've tried to do that before in past different companies, or we're just at a time where this is not, it's a necessity now, not just a want or a desire, so to speak, that the manager should be doing that?
It's a really good question. It's a really good question. That's the first time that I see that. And just because the people that we recruit are different. They are not coming from, the typical background. Just to give you an idea, people in my teams are not coming from sales. Most of them are coming from VC or finance. So we recruit different people. And also something quite unique at ElevenLabs, we don't have any job titles. If you're in sales, you are GTM.
Right.
If you are in marketing, you are growth, and that's it. And even if you are like a VP level, we all have the same job title. So we'll remove a lot of friction about, hey, can I do that? Should I do that? Can I engage with this person on Slack? We're all the same, which is important. Then, because we're all the same, all have to do the job. Me, I reply to leads. I prospect, something that normally you don't see. To be very honest with you, Syed, when I worked at Intercom, not sure I was prospecting a lot on outreach at this time. It was a different time, so we didn't do that. It was more about strategy, planning, blah, blah, blah. And the risk with that is disconnected about what's going on. Me, today, I can tell you, for example, when there is a problem with Lemlist, the platform that we use, I know immediately. I don't need to have someone in my team to inform me about that. When there is something that works well, I can fit. And the same when it doesn't work. So I think it's important to do that. And it's not only me. Carles, who would be in a normal company like probably a VP or CRO, he also prospect all the time. Even our CEO, Matti, prospects. You would be surprised to see his name on the Salesforce report. And I think it's so important to get that. Pipeline is something so important for a company. You can have the best product. You can have the best AI models. If you don't have pipeline, it's useless. So that's why there is this mentality. We have our own quota also, like the reps. We have our quota, and to share a very honest opinion on this, it's so refreshing. In the past, I was a head of sales, so thinking a lot about strategy. Being on the field is so refreshing. I love to do that. It's fun, actually. It's fun. I love meeting prospects. I love doing demo. I love to build. And by the nature of AI technology today, if you are not doing that, you are missing something because 100%. It's changing. As I said, it's moving so quickly. If you are not experiencing it yourself, you're totally disconnected. And when you are disconnected, you are terrible a salesperson and terrible manager. So that's why, love it. And we're all doing that. As far as I know, it's quite unique with ElevenLabs, but I'm sure that many companies now are also adopting this motion.
Yeah. Well, it's the only way to go. Like I said, with the era in which we come from, those playbooks are not valid in 2026 anymore. And any company that is not adopting and understanding that is soon going to have a very hard reality check that it just doesn't work. I do want to ask you something, since ElevenLabs is unique in the sense that it operates across a lot of different regions. You have teams, go-to-market teams across a lot of different regions. Is there something that always breaks when you're trying to scale fast and that true over to different regions?
Yes, definitely. So just to give some context about ElevenLabs, company founded in Europe and super quickly became global, which is also quite unique. The speed of the what break the first usually is the messaging. For example, what we do in the UK, just in the UK and France or Italy, it will be different. So the messaging will break first. And also, we know that with all the US SaaS companies, when in the past it was okay, let's do that in San Francisco and let's do the same, let's say in London. Things doesn't work the same. So it's pure drama. It's copy paste doesn't work. So this is the first thing. Also, when you start to expand globally, the accountability structure is going to shift. It's normal because the team, they need their own territory. So there is also something that is changing a little bit. The tooling, tooling and processes. Give you an example with our team in India. We are not using the same tools than in your team in Brazil, for example. So that's also something that if you come with, okay, let's just use, I don't know, Apollo, let's just use Aircall or whatever, doesn't work. So you also have to adjust with your international expansion.
Yeah, 100%. You've led teams across SMB, mid-market, enterprise. Where do sales leader fail most when they're scaling those teams on the flip side?
I would say enterprise.
A completely different beast, isn't it? I mean, I was talking to a rep and they said that I do, demos side by side, SMBs and enterprise. I was said that it's impossible for you to excel at them because if you're having an SMB demo right now, very quick, transactional, and 30 minutes later, right after the demo, you do an enterprise, you don't even have enough time to get into the enterprise mode because that requires a completely different level of decorum than the SMB demo or the prospect that you're tackling with because they're looking for rents fairly quickly and they want to become a customer or ideally they're going to get unqualified. Whereas with enterprise, it's a whole different beast. You got to structure it. You got to present yourself in a certain way and you can't do both at once at the same time in the same hour. You could potentially do that in the same segment, but it's extremely difficult. So I'm glad that
For me, it's a very different job. And it's funny because I had to promote in the past SMB AE, mid-market AE to enterprise, and they were shocked because for them it was just okay, just bigger opportunities. No, it's not the same game, and can be very, very difficult. And all the companies today they want to move to enterprise, and the thing is, most of them they are not ready. They are not ready for many reasons. The legal aspect, the sales cycle, the comp plan, something stupid. But if you work on very large companies, if you have a comp plan calculated on 3 months, good luck to close an enterprise logo just in 3 months. So these kind of things. And just sharing with you experience at Intercom. Intercom is incredible companies. They just announced 400 million ARR recently. Great company. But I remember when I worked there, and I was one of the first enterprise rep at Intercom in Europe. We didn't have a deal desk. We didn't have a legal person based in Europe. And small things, but I can tell you it was extremely difficult just to close enterprise deals just because you need that at this level. So the good news is since they created the right person, and I know that they are crushing the numbers on this, but yes, you have to be ready. It's not just okay. It's just a bigger opportunities.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We talk a lot about AI and AI. A lot of people that I speak to still believe it's just automation. Is AI actually transforming go-to-market if it hasn't already, or people are still catching up to it, or are we just relabeling automation on top of AI?
It's funny because at the moment, you can see all the companies. It's AI powered GTM and so on. The truth is most of the time it's just faster spray and pray from what I can see. The thing is, AI definitely remove friction in with operations. Yeah. I give you an example. Our team, our RevOps team, built a GTM bot that we use on Slack. It's amazing. Every time I have a question about, tell me what are the 3 latest contracts that we signed in France, I got the answer. When I say, okay, give me a list of top 10 accounts similar to the one we closed, I got everything and share with me the messaging that would be the best for them. I have everything. So definitely helps. I think this is where I see it. Just to give you also some context, we work a lot with Claude at ElevenLabs, and yeah, it's fascinating. In today's world, all the reps also must be builder. In my team, they spend time on Lovable, creating small website for the prospects connected to ElevenLabs, so they can share demo directly on it. In the past, it was super complicated. You had to discuss with RevOps, with marketing and so on. So now we are all doing that. So I think I love it. And it's transforming the way we prospect and all the workflow, also sequencing. For example, in my sequence, I had a audio voice note powered by ElevenLabs, totally personalized with a clone of my voice. It's where I see, there is a real impact, and indeed it's really transforming. And also there is something we're really proud of at ElevenLabs. We develop an AI SDR, and we don't think that AI SDR is going to do cold coding. And this is a dream as today, as we speak. Maybe 1 year,
Maybe
maybe
in
it
the
will be
future.
different. But the thing is, you take your best SDR when they prospect, even cold coding. It's not easy. It's not easy. We know that.
Mm.
But on the other hand, for inbound, it's amazing. It's amazing because you can qualify. You have the context. I told you about the context earlier.
Yeah.
You have the context, and can tell you, it does a job. The AIZR does a job.
Yeah.
And what is amazing, what I really love with that is the buyers also are changing. And that's something that we didn't discuss. But in the past, the buyers, they didn't know exactly what they wanted. So you had to do the call with the SDR, then the disco with the AE, the demo, the pricing. I mean, you know that. Now they know exactly what they want. They did their homework. They know what they want. So when they contact you on a Friday, 9 p.m., okay, they go on your website. They're going to start the conversation. In the past, it was a CSF, contact sales form. They had to fill out. Okay, cool. So I hope my team doesn't work during the weekend. So it means that on Mondays, they're going to reply and they're going to send a Calendly, and you know that. So basically, the meeting will happen on Wednesday, if you're lucky, okay? Because imagine your email didn't arrive, durability. So imagine the friction, it's terrible. So now what we can do, we detect that you're interested, you start to give us some information, then we can start conversation in your own language. You speak German, you speak Swedish, we can do that. So we provide a better experience, and we can schedule the call immediately, which is very different. We can qualify you in real time in your own language, and you can have your meeting for the next Monday. And I think this is where I really see a value. And imagine this SDR could work also with pass close loss, could work with all this kind of motion.
So much.
Yeah, exactly. So I deeply think that it works well. And actually, don't get my word for it. It's just the numbers are proving that it works really well. We shared a study about that, and numbers are pretty good. And also something where, as I told you, we experiment a lot. At the beginning, it's going to be curious to see what happened. Actually, people, they spend a lot of time. I think in average, it's 6 or 7 minutes before AI is there. And when you listen to the conversation, it's pretty good. And the CSAT, I think we have a CSAT of 8.2.
Wow.
At least it was the number this week. So, which is pretty good. Always have someone who, is unhappy. It happens all the time.
Yeah, sure.
But yes, very good. Helps a lot. And because we do that, SDRs, they can focus on the outbound. They can focus on meeting their prospect on site, the real value. So this is where I see AI transforming the GTM motion, and it's just the beginning. So just also to be clear, not talking about replacing the GTM, but just helping them on some part to focus on other where we can get better value.
Yeah, more sophisticated, 100%. Yep. I want to ask you to make a prediction here. What will sales teams look like in a few years? Smaller, more technical, more creative?
I think that I'm not sure that they're going to be smaller. The proof is, all the tech companies at the moment, they recruit. We recruit, by the way, Sayed. So feel free to send me people interested. But I think that it will be the same. What is going to change is the productivity. Today, with AI, as I explained just before, we can expect a higher productivity. And this is what I already noticed with my team. So I see that. I also think that some roles are going to change. Some companies still have inbound SDR. I'm not sure it will, we'll still have many people doing that because it doesn't make sense. You can have an agent doing that better. And to be honest, it's not a super interesting job. So that's why it's going to change. SDR role, for example, just focusing on this because it's what I do at the moment. But I think it will become more strategic. Indeed, you're right, maybe more technical. I think that the SDR are going to manage agents. Today, they manage sequences. Today, they know everything about deliverabilities. They know everything on how to get a reply, optimize reply rate, and so on. I think that in the future, they'll be really good in optimizing the agents. In the example of ElevenLabs, could be just to play with different voice model, maybe playing with different voices to get better qualification, better reply, better engagement. So it's going to be super interesting, I think. And also think that in the future, the reps who are going to be really, really successful would be the one with a deep product knowledge. I already see that when I interview candidates, when, for example, they present me a demo that they build on Lovable, and they build something also with Claude, and yeah, it makes a difference. So deep product knowledge, relationship builder, which, as I said, it's a bit weird with this AI world, but meeting people in real life, it's so important in 2026, and I think it makes a difference. And yes, also the last thing is just being able to manage complex multi-stakeholders deals. Deals are more complex than before. As I said, with AI and the rise of AI, the legal part is something that is crazy. In the past, it was honestly it was easier compared to today.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. There's a lot here. Thank you. AI has lowered the barrier for entry for everyone. Just about everyone can write a prompt, build out an application. We probably experienced that. I've experienced that. If you had to build and put your founder hat on again and build a SaaS from scratch again, what would you optimize for first? Brand, product, or distribution?
I'm sure that you have an idea. Me, it will be distribution. It will be distribution because, and very personal opinion, but I think that building a product in 2026, we remove many barriers. Wouldn't say that product is no longer the hard part, but I think it's a bit easier than in the past. But I think that distribution is definitely the most important, because you can have the best product in the world. If you don't have the distribution, it doesn't work. You can have the best brand in the world. Yeah, that's great. But if you don't have the distribution, it doesn't work. So distribution is the key. ElevenLabs is a good example about that, about what we did in terms of distribution. And yes, if I would have to build a SaaS from scratch, distribution would be probably my priority.
Got it. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Is there something that is I would say complete bullshit in SaaS right now when it comes to go-to-market advice from your lens?
Many things. The PLG is interesting. A couple of years ago, it was all about the PLG. Yeah, let's adopt a PLG strategy, and our product is going to sell by itself, and so on. The thing is, PLG is great, and don't get me wrong. But the thing is, if you want to accelerate, you need human to navigate. The buying committee to navigate. It's so important. So I think that I wouldn't say it's bullshit, but just to rely only on PLG is not the right option. Definitely not. I'm not sure that ElevenLabs would have the same growth without a sales-led motion.
Yeah, 100%. Talking about go-to-market teams, I just want to ask a double click on one thing. When does adding more salespeople actually slow growth down? I kind of feel like that when you're building a team out, you hire 1 person, 2, 3, 4, and the growth is somewhat steady at the most part. But you hit a point of return where it's not really scaling so much for the most part, and you start to figure out whether or not adding bodies is a better solution here for the most part. Is there a way to perfect that? Is there a formula? Is there a typical way you go about doing it, or do you feel like that it's just very company dependent and specific?
I think it's company specific. Also think that at ElevenLabs, it's a small company when you think about our revenue and how fast we're growing. It's a small company. As we speak, we have about 400 people, so pretty small when you compare to the SaaS. I think that the thing is, when you add headcount to a broken motion, this is why it just doesn't work, because it just amplifies the dysfunction. And this is what I noticed in my career in some companies, adding headcount, but motion wasn't good. So at ElevenLabs, for example, we only recruit when we need it. We don't recruit, in advance. And I think it's super important. And also the risk is when you are growing fast and you're adding more salespeople, is to maintain the high standard, and also protecting the culture as you scale, which is the biggest challenge. Let's be honest. But yes, the standard. And at ElevenLabs, if you listen the podcast of Carles, mentioned that about the fact that we recruit, I think it's 0.02% of the people. Not just
It's
because
insane.
we have many people applying, first thing, but yes, we try to maintain high standard as we grow, which is challenging but very important for us.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, one of the advantages of course companies like ElevenLabs is that there's a lot of people that want to work for that. So the pool in which you get to select, there is that privilege as well for the most part. Should companies build regionally autonomous go-to-market teams, or should they just centralize everything in one place and just operate out of there, which happens to be, I think, one of the strategies that most companies use. But I also think it's because of limitation on budgets, not wanting to experiment, not wanting to have another headache on top, so to speak, for going into a different region. What would you recommend if folks are operating in 2026 and beyond?
It depends a lot of the companies. Personal opinion, I think it should be hybrid in the sense that centralization is good, for the strategy, for the playbook, for the tooling. But if you want to expand quickly, you also have to localize. This is what we do. Give you an example. We have a GM for Brazil. We have one for Spanish Latam. We have one for Middle East. They have, the knowledge about the region that if you have someone in New York or London, we don't know. I don't know how it works in São Paulo, for example. So which is super important. I think having this hybrid motion is the best one if you want to grow faster. And ElevenLabs was very good with that in having this very centralized vision, and at the same time having local hubs.
Yes.
I think it really made a difference. Give you another example. I'm based in Dublin. We have a small office in Dublin. And I think it's also good to have local expertise. We have the same in Paris, in Barcelona. And yeah, I think localization is also super important for the GTM team.
100%. I'm sure you have seen companies go from SMB over to, move up market. Are there any particular pitfalls there, some minds and mistakes that companies make when they're moving up market? Because everybody wants to move up market. Higher retention rate. You get the LTVs a lot higher. Customers, they tend to be less demanding for the most part. But are there any pitfalls and mistakes that people end up making, or companies that end up making, that are trying to move up market?
Yes. As I said, I think that all the companies today, they want to move up market. I think one of the biggest problem is to move with the same people to enterprise, basically. And this is what we discussed just before. If you take someone who used to manage SMB deals, it's going to be very different, with enterprise, because you're going to discuss with exec, you are going to have crazy security requirements, procurement, legal. So this is why it doesn't work. Also, the way you are going to package your product would be very different. So that's why it's one of the biggest market. Once again, it's a different game, the enterprise. It's slower. It's very different. And it can take a lot of time. It can be when you work with, Fortune 500 accounts, it can be a full-time job.
Yeah. I often think about this introspect, so to speak, of me as a leader. And I've tried to figure out that how do you become a better leader? What makes a good leader? What makes a great leader? Since you've been somebody who's been at some of the largest companies in the world in SaaS, you've operated at the highest scale, you've operated as a leader. I guess the question for you is, what separates a good go-to-market leader from a great one?
That's a good question. I think that the first thing is me, for example, I made many mistakes as leader, many mistakes. And you have to learn from that. This is the first thing. You have to get intellectual honesty with that. It's very easy when you're a leader just to fall in love about your own playbook and just to say, hey, I used to do that. I used to do that at Intercom. I was successful. I used to do that. This is the first thing. I can tell you that when I arrived at ElevenLabs, I have to relearn everything. because we don't work the same way, and all companies are very different. I think this is the first thing. Second thing also, which is a bit related, is you have to know when you have to change the play, not just how to execute it. I think it's super important, because if you don't realize that, don't good. And what is interesting is a great leader can be great in one company, but terrible in another. So you have to understand that. The other thing is the people obsession, not in a software, but in a performance way. I think that performance is everything in GTM, and you have to be obsessed about their success in terms of performance. I think it's extremely important. Me, I'm obsessed about the speed and the numbers. Love that. So just want to make sure that the teams are successful all the time. And I think that's very important also to build an environment where the talented people, they do their best. So this is what we do at ElevenLabs. Sometimes it can be super intense. There's no magic in sales, you know that. But on the other hand, having good time all together. Last week, we were all in Punta Cana with all the GTM team. Great moment. And building this environment is also extremely important. We know to have fun also. And the last thing I would say is to know how to retain the people, to know how to scale, how to develop them. Super important. And how to recruit also, didn't mention.
100%. Jonathan, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. A lot of value here, a lot of knowledge here. I want to head into a rapid fire round where it's quick questions, quick answers. Best advice you've ever received, business or personal?
Don't let people pushing you in one direction. Decide by yourself.
This is perfect. And on the flip side, advice you received and ignored or wish you had listened to?
This one, maybe.
Apply more of it. What would you tell
exactly.
your younger self, say 7 to 10 years ago?
Is more confidence about what you can do. This is something that I said to all the people. I say that also to my own daughter, is so many things that you think are just impossible, and actually you can do it. You'll be surprised that you can do it. Just trust in yourself. It sounds a bit cheesy, but honestly, it's
interesting because we talked about it earlier. If management has faith in you, let's say you as a leader have faith in your rep person that you have working for you, with you, and they have confidence in themselves, the energy that they will depict and it will exuberate. It's going to be a lot different than somebody who just does not have faith in me. You can fake confidence, but it's 8 out of 10 times it's going to be visible. But if you truly believe in yourself and you push forward, you're going to outperform anybody out there, especially when you're selling. So
when you have that with a group, with your team, then you build something incredible.
Exactly. That culture, I mean, it's one of those things that will be, it will eat strategy for breakfast in a lot of ways if you have that kind of environment and people built out. So you're in Dublin. Little fun fact about me, I grew up in Dublin. So what would be your favorite restaurant, meal, or spot in Dublin?
So a fancy one, but really love this one because it's beautiful. Liat in Blackrock. It's a 2 stars. I don't go very often, but
2 stars,
it's amazing. It's so beautiful, great people, and the food is getting really excellent in Dublin. So Syed, if you come back to Dublin, more than happy to bring you to a nice restaurant.
Absolutely, I'll take you on that. One tool that you swear by, I cannot live without.
One
tool that you swear by,
one tool.
I can't live.
I love granola. I love granola so much.
Mm.
So granola, in case people don't know, it's a note taker, and I think it's really good. It's really good. Just to help us with the notes. It's super fast, and it helps also increasing our productivity. We work faster with granola.
Yeah, 100%. Especially, I mean, if you have someone taking notes, you can focus more on the conversation. It just becomes a lot more easier. So definitely see advantages in that. John, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Made tons of notes. Always super valuable. Where can listeners find you?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best way to connect with me. So
Perfect. And
can
any upcoming projects, launched events, or talk that you're excited about?
There is a big focus for the French market at the moment.
Mm.
So we will be this month in France. But yes, you can find us in all the big events across Europe and also globally. If you meet someone from ElevenLabs, feel free to chat with them.
Absolutely. 100%. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on, Jonathan. Really enjoyed speaking to you. Folks, if you got value out of this, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you next week. Thank you. See ya.
Thank you, Sayed.